One of the common questions, most common questions this year, using Pro Tools first and just Pro Tools with all of the basic instruments, is where's a good 808? And in terms of the stock plugins and presets, like I don't really think there is one. There's a couple synth basses that can do the trick, but we're gonna learn how to make one instead. So I'm gonna jump right into it using Expand actually. So make a mono instrument track that'll stay in ticks. Let's name it 808, and go ahead and insert Expand. And basically, a couple things about Expand that I haven't really gone over before is it's a 4-part synthesizer. So for example, if you put in a multi-track arpeggio, these are all multiple, you are going to have 4 different sounds that make up the preset. So for example, the thunder drums sound just like that. The small taiko sound pretty much the same. The big snare. Actually, I should have been. Oh, no wonder. I'm not that smart. Here is the taiko drums. I hit the letter instead of the power. Okay, snare drums. So you get the idea. And then all of these together sound. All right, these are all arpeggiated. In any case, what we're going to do is from the default beneath the waves, we're going to click in the actual part. And this is how we changed the drums for drum menus and whatnot. But we're going to go down to basics and we're going to put in, basics, and we're going to put in the poly electro drum. All right, and that right away on C3 sounds like a snare drum. I'm going to actually go down to like 0 because I think that's the octave that sounds best for the 808s once we get done with them. All right, so another thing that as you have these parts, you also have, hey, that's a loud, get a muffler. You have these smart knobs, as they're called, and you have them per part, and you have what's called easy, which is kind of like more of a global setting or settings, parameters that affect all of your sounds. We're going to go to part A. We are going to lower this noise volume all the way down. We aren't going to pay attention to that at all. The sine tune, we're going to place to 75%. You can see down here as the percentage changes. And that's going to give us essentially, when we hit C, the note is going to be a C. I mean, 808s play a role both as a drum and as bass. They need to be in proper pitch. The cutoff, we're going to put to about 55%. The bend time, we will put at 50. Cutoff, by the way, is kind of like a low-pass filter. It's kind of a frequency, establishing the frequencies that we want to focus on for the sound. The sine decay, we're going to put up to 100%. And because we have noise volume at nothing, the noise decay is irrelevant. Okay, we already have a decent 808, but check this out. Let me turn this up. You can hear when I hit notes that fluttering. That's because this is still allowing us to hit 2 notes at once, and that doesn't work for a low frequency sound like a bass or 808 like that. So we're going to come over to our voice mode and change polyphonic to monophonic. Polyphonic means you can play multiple notes at once like a chord. Monophonic means you can't. You can only use one, mono. So as I hit different notes, the previous one is getting cut off. And this is actually okay. Like I kind of dig it as an 808. I just want to show you one additional element. If you go to easy, we're going to really just look at the release. And if we bring the release down to 100%, if we hold the note, it plays longer. And if we let go of it, it stops. But you hear that click. If we change the release to about 90, that click goes away. All right, so we don't like clicks. It's not good. It's not a good look. So there is a basic 808. Now we don't really have. Well, that's about all we can do. Let's see if I can tweak this. This is kind of taking a turn here. I don't think this is going to sound too great. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and draw in some notes. Let's set this actually to 16ths again. Hold those. All right, I'm going to play with this compressor and see if I can get it to distort, but no. Let's open this up. I just want to see if I can get this to... It's a little rough. So I have a high ratio. Let's lower that. I'm worried that I'm going to distort or like clip it, which is bad. It gives you a little bit more body. By the way, that's a compressor. I'm not going to get into it. Okay, so we have an 808. I'm going to show you something else that I kind of learned fairly recently. So we talked about making our drum beats in, on one track and then separating them. And I still stand by that. I think it's a really important element. We're going to go ahead and change our tempo to 140. I no longer like that, but it doesn't matter. Let's go ahead and put in Xpand again. I made another mono instrument track. And let's just choose a drum set, urban beat. Okay, now this is would be a lot easier if you have a MIDI keyboard in front of you. It's going to be easier. I'm going to show you a couple things to consider. So we have our drums always starting basically at C1. And now that you kind of have a better idea maybe of what parts are, the kicks are in part A. So if we click on part A to look at the smart knobs, we can actually select on C1 by changing this knob here. We can go and change the kick drum sound. So basically we're working our way through this menu selector by changing this knob here. And what's easier is if you have a keyboard in front of you, you're hitting C1, moving this, moving it, clicking, moving it, clicking, moving it. So what I'm actually going to do before kind of dialing in my custom drum kit, I'm going to put in a drum beat because I already know more or less what I want to do. So I'm putting in my 16th notes. This is at 140 BPM, so this is important for this modern rap trap music, that your snare drums, which I'm going to put on E, no, I'll use D, go on beat 3 of each measure, and it takes 2 measures to get through a pattern that you would normally associate to be 1 measure long. Essentially, it's a half-time feel. It's a double-time tempo. So let's turn this off for a second. I'm going to change those notes. And for my hi-hats, I actually like those hi-hats. Not too bad. I'm going to put in, actually, I'm going to skip that one. I'm going to put in eighth notes for most of this. In the last quarter note here, I'm going to actually put in sixteenths. And I want to put that for beat 3 here, I'm going to put in 30-second notes. So I'm going to change my grid to 30 seconds. And I could just kind of draw in each one, but I want to show you something else here. If you click and hold on the pencil tool, you can choose the line, and what it allows you to do is actually to draw in the value of what you're looking at, what your grid is. Okay, so I have a bunch of problems with this drum beat already. The kick has a note to it. It is, if I click on part A, I can tune it, but I don't want my kick there because I have 808. I don't want a highly tuned kick drum at all. Okay, I'm gonna bring that, but I'm gonna tune that one down. Okay, cutoff is like a high pass filter or low pass filter. It takes away the brightness, the attack, but this is what I want this kick drum to do because I have this 808, so I actually want that. All right, let's get into our snare drum. So clicking on part B, and I did put my snare drum on D. So the reason I put in the drum beat ahead of time is that I want to be able to cycle through these sounds without having to come back over here and hit a key. Yo. Okay. And I'm okay with the hi-hat. So, you know, you kind of choose to make it however you want. Now, with my 808s, what I do want to do is kind of echo the kick drum. So I need to move these. Where's my smart tool, people? Okay, you don't want to give me the smart tool? I'll just redraw it. Wow, you're really being difficult with me. There, just resets. Actually, I'm going to do a couple things here. have that hit with the second kick drum. Draw it out because we have control over the length. All right, not too bad. Doom, 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 doom. Okay, probably not going to win a Grammy for Best Trap Album, but make sure your clips are all exactly 2 measures. I don't like where that is falling at all. It's getting in the way of the snare drum. So what am I going to do? I'm going to reset. See, that seems to work. Yep. All right. You make your own, you know? You know what? I'm okay with that, but I do want to accent that kick again with my kick, or my 808 with the kick drum. And then, to be honest, here I have volume control over my various instruments. The kick's too loud. It's too loud because I want to concentrate on the 808. One last thing I'm going to look into. All right, we'll leave it at that. All right, so we have an 808 2-measure pattern. We have drums, 2-measure pattern. We created our own kind of custom kit. There you go. Export that, submit it.